You think you are thinking your thoughts, but what if your thoughts are thinking you? Most people never truly live life directly. They live inside mental commentary about life, a conversation that never ends, a voice that keeps judging, predicting, replaying, fearing, and slowly, without noticing it, the mind becomes a prison disguised as intelligence. You call it being realistic, but sometimes it is anxiety wearing the mask of wisdom. Buddhism discovered something terrifying about the human mind thousands of years ago. The voice in your head is not your true self, and the moment you realize this, your suffering begins to lose its authority. Shocking Buddhist truth: the mind is a tool, but most people have become its prisoner. Because peace was never hiding inside better thoughts, it was hiding behind them. And once you understand what the ancient sages discovered about awareness itself, you may never listen to your mind the same way again. Thinking is not living. Have you ever stood before a beautiful sunset only to realize you were not really seeing it? Your eyes were on the sky, but your mind was somewhere else, comparing your life, worrying about tomorrow, replaying something someone said. This is the quiet tragedy of overthinking. You are physically present, but mentally absent. And while your thoughts are busy explaining life, life itself slips through your fingers. Most people do not experience reality directly. They experience their interpretation of reality. Love becomes fear of loss. Success becomes pressure to prove your worth. Silence becomes discomfort. Even joy becomes a question. How long will this last? The mind speaks so loudly that life becomes difficult to hear. The Buddha taught that suffering does not come from life itself. It comes from the stories the mind creates about life. A thought appears, and instead of observing it, you believe it. You treat every mental whisper as truth. But a thought is only a thought. It is a cloud passing through the sky of awareness. It has no power unless you hold on to it. Imagine a man standing beside the ocean, reading books about water. He knows every theory about the waves, every scientific explanation, every poetic description, but he has never stepped into the sea. This is how many people live. They think endlessly about life, but rarely feel it. Close your eyes for a moment. Listen to the nearest sound. Do not name it. Do not analyze it. Simply hear. In that brief instant, there is no problem to solve. There is only this moment, exactly as it is. This is where peace begins. Overthinking ends the moment you realize that thinking is not living. Thoughts can describe life, but they can never replace direct experience. You are not the voice in your head. You are the silent presence that hears it. So, ask yourself, how much of your life have you truly lived, rather than merely thought about? When was the last time you felt fully here? The mind will continue to speak. Let it. But do not follow every word. The moment you stop believing every thought, your soul finally begins to breathe. And you discover that the freedom you were searching for was hidden in the silence between your thoughts. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My peace comes first." 2. Your mind was never designed to stay silent. If thoughts truly belong to you, why do they arrive uninvited? You may be sitting in silence, doing nothing at all. And suddenly, the mind begins speaking. It remembers an old embarrassment. It imagines a future disaster. It replays a conversation that ended hours ago. You did not call these thoughts. You did not choose them. They simply appeared. This is one of the most liberating realizations in Buddhist wisdom. Thinking is happening, but that does not mean you are the thinker. The Buddha compared the untamed mind to a monkey swinging wildly from branch to branch, never resting, never satisfied, always reaching for something else. One moment, it clings to regret. The next, it leaps into fear. Then, it grabs hold of desire. And all the while, you believe this restless movement is your identity. But look more closely. A restless mind creates stories faster than reality creates problems. Most of the suffering you feel does not come from what is happening now. It comes from the endless commentary unfolding inside your head. The mind predicts rejection before anyone speaks. It invents failure before you begin. It turns uncertainty into danger. And because these thoughts use your voice, you assume they are you. But thoughts are like birds flying through an open temple. The sky never invites them. The temple does not chase them away. They arrive, they circle, and they leave. And the vast space above remains untouched. Your awareness is that sky. Sit quietly for 1 minute and watch what happens. A thought appears, then another, then another. Notice that you are the one seeing them. If you can observe a thought, then you cannot be the thought itself. This is where overthinking begins to lose its power. You no longer fight the mind. You no longer believe every sentence it whispers. You simply watch. And in watching, a deeper question arises. If I can see my thoughts come and go, who is the one that remains? Stay with that question. It is the doorway to freedom. The mind was never designed to stay silent. Its nature is movement. But your nature is not movement. Your nature is the stillness that has been here all along. And when you stop trying to control every thought, you discover something extraordinary. Peace was never the absence of thoughts. Peace was the awareness that was never disturbed by them. 3. The voice in your head is a performer. Who would you be if the voice in your head suddenly fell silent? For many people, that voice has been speaking for so long that it feels like a trusted companion. It comments on everything. You are falling behind. They do not respect you. What if this all goes wrong? It speaks when you wake up, while you work, and even in the quiet moments before sleep. And because it sounds like you assume it is you. But look carefully. The voice never stops talking, even when nothing is happening. You are sitting alone in a room, safe in this moment, and still the mind invents conflict. It rehearses arguments that may never happen. It predicts disasters that do not exist. It searches for something to fear, because the voice survives by keeping your attention. The ego fears silence, because silence exposes its illusion. Without your belief, that voice is only sound, like an actor performing on a stage after the audience has already left. It continues reciting its lines, hoping someone is still watching. For most of your life, that someone has been you. You applauded every thought. You trembled at every prediction. You treated every sentence as truth. But the Buddha taught a radical freedom. You do not have to believe the voice simply because it speaks. The next time anxiety rises, pause and whisper inwardly, "There is the voice again." Not, "I am anxious." Not, "Something is wrong with me." Just, "There is the voice again." In that small shift, your entire relationship with the mind begins to change. The voice becomes an object in awareness rather than your identity. And then a profound question appears. Who is noticing the voice? The one who observes cannot be the thing being observed. The clouds are not the sky. The actor is not the audience. The voice is not the awareness listening to it. This realization is subtle, but it changes everything. When you stop believing every sentence your mind produces, thoughts lose their authority. Fear still visits, doubt still speaks, but they no longer control you. You begin to rest in the silent presence beneath the narration. The part of you that was here before the first thought arose. The part of you that remains after every thought disappears. And in that silence, you discover a freedom the mind could never give you. You were never the voice in your head. You were the stillness that heard it all along. 4. Overthinking is fear pretending to protect you. Why does your mind keep rehearsing problems that have not happened? Why does it return to the same fear at midnight, as if one more thought will finally make you safe? The mind calls this responsibility. The Buddha called it attachment to control. Overthinking feels productive because it creates the illusion that you are preparing. But if you look honestly, most of the time you are not solving anything. You are circling the same uncertainty, hoping repetition will turn mystery into certainty. The mind confuses worry with responsibility. It whispers, "If I think about this long enough, nothing will go wrong." But how many nights have you sacrificed to thoughts that never became reality? How many imagined disasters dissolved with the morning light? Overthinking is fear pretending to protect you. It is the part of the mind that believes vigilance can prevent pain. It would rather keep you mentally exhausted than ask you to trust life. It would rather imprison you in endless analysis than allow you to surrender what you cannot control. This is why overthinking feels so convincing. It wears the mask of intelligence. It sounds like caution. But beneath it is a frightened voice saying, "If I stop thinking, I will not be safe." Imagine a warrior polishing his armor every day. He shines every piece until it reflects the sun, but he forgets how to breathe inside it. The armor that was meant to protect him slowly becomes his prison. This is what overthinking does. It hardens around your heart. It steals the freshness of this moment. It convinces you that peace will come after every possible threat has been considered. But peace does not arrive when life becomes predictable. Peace arrives when you stop demanding that it be predictable. Close your eyes and imagine placing each worry into a river at sunset. Watch the current carry them beyond your reach. Notice that the river continues to flow, and so does life. Without your constant supervision, ask yourself, has overthinking ever truly delivered peace, or has it only delayed your ability to rest? The mind will continue offering fearful predictions. Let it speak. But you do not need to build a home inside every warning. Some thoughts are not instructions, they are echoes of old fear. And the moment you stop treating worry as wisdom, your mind begins to loosen its grip. You breathe more deeply, you trust more fully, you live more directly. Because true safety is not found in controlling tomorrow. It is found in meeting this moment without fear. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My peace comes first." 5. Fighting thoughts feeds them. Why do certain thoughts become stronger the more you try to push them away? You tell yourself, "I should not think this. I need to stop worrying. Why does this keep coming back?" And yet the very thought you are trying to silence returns with even greater force, as if your resistance has invited it to stay. This is one of the quiet laws of the mind. Resistance is attention, and attention is energy. Whatever you fight, you feed. The mind interprets your struggle as a signal that something important is happening. It does not understand that you want the thought to disappear. It only understands that you are giving it your full focus. So the thought grows stronger, not because it is true, but because you keep watering it. The Buddha taught that freedom does not come from controlling every thought. Freedom comes from observing thoughts without attachment, without fear, without argument. A thought can arise without becoming your prison. Imagine standing in the ocean, trying to punch the water to stop the waves. The harder you strike, the more turbulence you create. The water was never your enemy. It was only moving according to its nature. The mind is the same. Thoughts rise, thoughts fall. This is what minds do. Suffering begins when you declare war against what is naturally passing through. The next time an intrusive thought appears, do nothing. Do not chase it. Do not suppress it. Do not ask why it is there. Simply notice it. There is fear. There is doubt. There is the voice again. Then let it pass untouched. At first, this may feel uncomfortable. You have spent years believing you must wrestle every troubling thought to the ground. But slowly, you begin to see a profound truth. Thoughts need your involvement to survive. Without your attention, they lose momentum. Without your belief, they become echoes. Without your resistance, they drift away like leaves on a river. Ask yourself, How much energy have you spent fighting your own mind? How many thoughts became stronger because you treated them like enemies? What would change if you allowed them to come and go without interference? This is the beginning of inner peace. Not a silent mind, but a mind that no longer controls you. Because the moment you stop fighting every thought, you discover that awareness itself is already free. And what is free does not need to struggle. What if overthinking is not something that happens to you? What if, in a quiet and painful way, part of you has become attached to it? For many people, mental noise feels exhausting, but it also feels familiar. The constant planning, analyzing, and worrying creates the sense that something is happening, that progress is being made, that you are staying in control. And beneath that activity lies a deeper fear. If the thinking stopped, you would have to feel what has been waiting underneath: loneliness, grief, emptiness, uncertainty. The emotions you kept postponing would finally step forward and ask to be seen. So the mind keeps talking, not because it enjoys suffering, but because silence feels more intimidating than noise. Some people think endlessly because silence reveals what they buried. The Buddha taught that what is avoided does not disappear. It remains in the shadows, shaping your thoughts, your relationships, and the way you move through life. The mind becomes a skilled storyteller, keeping you occupied so you never have to sit with the ache in your heart. Imagine a house with every light turned on. Every room is bright. Every corner is illuminated. At first, it feels comforting, but the lights are not there to create warmth. They are there so you do not notice how empty the house has become. This is what constant thinking can do. It fills the inner space with noise so you do not hear the quiet truth within you. Tonight, sit alone for a few minutes. No music, no scrolling, no conversation. Just your breath and the stillness around you. At first, the silence may feel uncomfortable. The mind may rush to fill it. Stay. Listen. Notice what begins to rise. Perhaps it is sadness you never fully felt. Perhaps it is fear you kept outrunning. Perhaps it is a simple longing to rest. Whatever appears, do not turn away. This is not your enemy. This is the part of you asking to be acknowledged. Ask yourself, are you addicted to thinking, or are you avoiding feeling? What truth has silence been trying to show you? When you stop using thoughts as a hiding place, the heart begins to heal. And in that healing, you discover that silence is not empty. Silence is where you finally meet yourself. 7. Awareness is the real you. If thoughts can be observed, then who is the one observing them? This question has echoed through Buddhist teachings for centuries, not as a puzzle for the mind, but as a doorway to freedom. You have had thousands of thoughts. You have felt joy, grief, fear, desire, hope, and disappointment. You have carried different names, roles, and identities: child, student, parent, professional, friend. And yet, through every change, something within you has remained quietly present. Something has been watching it all. Thoughts change constantly, emotions rise and fall, the body ages, relationships begin and end. But awareness remains, silent, watching, unmoving. Clouds move, the sky remains. This is the simple realization that begins to free the mind. You are not the passing weather of your experience. You are the vast openness in which it appears. Imagine a mountain standing beneath an ever-changing sky. Storms arrive, winds howl, mist covers the peaks. Then the clouds part, and the mountain is revealed exactly as it was. The mountain never chased the storm away. It simply remained. Your true nature is like that mountain. Thoughts may be turbulent. Emotions may feel overwhelming, but awareness itself is untouched. Close your eyes for a moment. Notice a thought arising, perhaps a memory, perhaps a worry, perhaps a question. Now notice that the awareness, seeing the thought, is not moving with it. The thought comes and goes, but the awareness remains. Can awareness itself be harmed by a thought? Can the sky be wounded by a cloud? This is the turning point. The mind says, I am anxious. Awareness quietly sees, anxiety is present. The mind says, I am broken. Awareness sees, pain is being experienced. The mind says, I am my story. Awareness remains silent, and in that silence, something profound becomes clear. You are not the noise. You are the one hearing it. You are not the waves. You are the depth beneath them. When you identify with thoughts, life feels unstable. When you rest as awareness, a deep stillness begins to emerge. The world may continue changing. Thoughts may continue speaking, but something within you is no longer shaken, and that unshaken presence is what you have been searching for your entire life. The freedom you seek is not found by becoming someone new. It is found by recognizing what has been here all along. 8. Most thoughts are borrowed. How many of the thoughts in your mind are truly your own? The voice in your head sounds intimate. It speaks in your language. It uses your memories. It knows exactly where your insecurities live, and because it feels familiar, you assume every thought belongs to you. But if you listen carefully, you may discover that much of what you call me was inherited. A parent's fear becomes your self-doubt. A teacher's criticism becomes your inner judge. Society's obsession with success becomes your constant pressure to prove your worth. The internet feeds comparison until you begin measuring your life against people you have never met. And after years of repetition, these borrowed messages begin to feel like identity. Conditioning speaks so often that people mistake it for identity. The Buddha taught that suffering is sustained by attachment, and one of the deepest attachments is to the stories we never questioned. We defend old beliefs not because they are true, but because they are familiar. Imagine an old mirror hanging in a quiet temple. Over the years, countless hands have touched its surface. Each fingerprint leaves a mark. Eventually, the mirror becomes so covered that it no longer reflects clearly. This is the conditioned mind. It still has the power to reflect reality, but it is obscured by the impressions of everyone who shaped you. The beautiful truth is that the fingerprints are not the mirror. They can be seen, they can be understood, and they can be gently wiped away. The next time a painful thought appears, pause and ask, who taught me to think this way? Perhaps the thought says, I am not enough. Perhaps it says, I will never be loved. Perhaps it says, my worth depends on achievement. Look closely. Is this your truth, or is it an old voice echoing through you? This question creates space, and in that space, freedom begins. You stop obeying every inherited belief. You stop carrying pain that was never entirely yours. You begin to discover what remains when comparison, fear, and conditioning no longer define you. Who would you be without the thoughts you borrowed from others? What if much of your suffering is inherited rather than essential? The mind may be full of old voices, but awareness is untouched by them, and when the mirror is finally cleared, you do not become someone new. You simply see yourself as you have always been, quiet, whole, and free. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My peace comes first." 9. The ego survives through repetition. Why does your mind keep returning to the same painful stories? Why does it replay the betrayal, the failure, the humiliation, as if repeating it will somehow protect you? The answer is subtle, but deeply revealing. The ego survives through repetition. It constantly whispers, my pain, my failure, my story. And, with every retelling, the false self becomes a little more solid. The mind builds an identity out of wounds, and then clings to that identity because it no longer knows who it would be without it. The ego repeats suffering to remember itself. This is why some thoughts feel strangely familiar, almost comforting, even when they hurt. They keep your sense of self intact. If the story disappeared, the mind would have to face an unsettling question. Who am I without this pain? The Buddha taught that what we call the self is not a fixed entity, but a pattern of attachment. Memories, emotions, and thoughts arise and pass away. Yet the mind keeps gathering them into a narrative and calls that narrative me. Imagine a fire burning in the night. It stays alive only as long as something is fed into it. Old memories become the wood, resentment becomes the fuel, repetition keeps the fire burning. But when no more fuel is given, the fire slowly begins to fade by itself. The same is true for the ego. Every time you repeat an old story and step into it emotionally, you feed the identity created around it. But when you only observe the story without entering it, the hold begins to become weaker. Notice one thought your mind repeats each day. Maybe it says, I was wronged. Maybe it says, I always fail. Maybe it says, this is just who I am. Now imagine watching it like an old film. The images appear, the dialogue continues, but you stay seated, aware that it is only a story. You do not need to step into the screen. Ask yourself, has my pain become part of how I see myself? Who would I be if this story were no longer repeated? What remains when I stop introducing myself to life through my wounds? At first, this can feel scary, but beyond that fear, there is a deep freedom. You are not the story your mind keeps repeating. You are the silent awareness where the story appears and disappears. And when the old fire is no longer fed, something unexpected begins to appear. Not emptiness, not loss, but a quiet presence that was never hurt. A presence that does not need suffering to know that it exists. 10. Peace exists before thought arrives. What if peace is not something you have to create? What if it has been here all along, quietly waiting beneath the noise of your thoughts? Most people spend their lives searching for peace, as if it is a faraway place. They tell themselves, I will rest when my problems are solved. I will feel calm when my mind finally becomes quiet. I will be at peace when life stops feeling uncertain. But peace does not begin when life becomes perfect. Peace begins when thought becomes silent for a moment. Before the next thought appears, there is a gap, a short stillness, a wordless presence, no story, no identity, no conflict, just awareness resting in itself. Silence is not the absence of life. It is the absence of inner struggle. The mind fears this silence because it cannot control it. It sees stillness as emptiness, and emptiness feels frightening to a mind that has spent its whole life defining itself through action. But in Buddhist wisdom, emptiness is not nothingness. It is freedom. Freedom from clinging. Freedom from mental labels. Freedom from the tiring need to turn every moment into a problem to solve. Imagine the moon hidden behind storm clouds. On a restless night, the sky looks chaotic. Thunder rolls, winds move in every direction, the moon seems to disappear. But the moon has not disappeared. It was never disturbed by the storm. Your inner peace is like that moon. Thoughts may run fast, emotions may rise, life may feel uncertain, yet beneath it all, a quiet presence remains unchanged. Between two thoughts, there is a small opening. Notice it. Rest there for one breath. In that one breath, nothing is missing. You do not need to become anyone. You do not need to fix anything. You are simply here. Ask yourself, what if peace has been available this whole time? Who would you become without the constant argument inside your head? Can silence begin to feel safer than thought? This is the final realization. You are not trying to create peace. You are uncovering what was never lost. The mind may continue to create noise. Let it. Clouds will pass across the sky. Storms will come and go. But now you know where to rest. Not in the next thought, not in the next answer, but in the silent awareness that exists before thought arrives. And in that silence, your mind is finally free. 11. You are not your thoughts. This is the realization that changes everything. If you can watch a thought, you cannot be the thought. Read that slowly. A thought appears. You notice it. It passes. But something in you remains, quietly aware of the whole movement. That silent awareness is what you truly are. Thoughts come and go, like travelers arriving at a roadside inn. Some bring fear, some bring desire. Some carry old memories and familiar pain. They knock on the door, ask for your attention, and if you are not careful, they convince you to leave home and wander with them. But awareness is the house itself. The house does not become the visitor, it simply gives space. The Buddha taught that liberation does not require destroying thought. The mind may continue creating stories, worries, and opinions. Freedom begins when thought loses control over identity. This is the end of overthinking, not because the mind becomes silent forever, but because you no longer confuse every mental movement with who you are. The thought says, "I am failing." Awareness notices, a thought of failure is appearing. The thought says, "Something terrible will happen." Awareness notices, fear is moving through the mind. The thought says, "I am not enough." Awareness remains untouched. In that simple shift, suffering begins to loosen. Tonight, sit quietly for a few moments. Let thoughts arise naturally. Do not stop them. Do not follow them. Gently repeat, "A thought is appearing, but it is not me." Feel the space this creates inside you. For the first time, you may feel a deep stillness that was hidden under the noise. A stillness that has been with you since childhood. A stillness that has watched every success and every loss. A stillness that was never harmed by any thought. Ask yourself, how much of my suffering came from believing every thought automatically? What changes when thoughts stop defining me? Who am I beneath the noise? Stay with that final question. Do not rush to answer it. Let it open inside you like the night sky. Because the truth is not something you need to create. It is something you remember. You were never the fear. You were never the story. You were never the voice that kept you awake. You are the awareness that hears it all and remains untouched. And the moment you recognize this, the mind may continue to speak, but it no longer has the power to tell you who you are. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My peace comes first." Bonus. The mind cannot heal the mind completely. Can the same mind that creates your suffering also become the final source of peace? This question humbles every overthinker. The mind is an amazing tool. It helps you plan, remember, solve problems, and move through the world. It protects your body and helps you survive. But when you ask the mind to heal every wound it has created, you may discover its limits. The same mechanism creating fear is now trying to think its way out of fear. The same voice creating self-doubt is now giving solutions to become worthy. The same mind creating exhaustion is promising that one more insight will finally bring peace. And so, the search continues. More analysis, more self-improvement, more attempts to fix what feels incomplete. But often, the harder you try to solve yourself, the more divided you feel. The deepest truths are not understood by thought. They are recognized in silence. Trying to think your way into peace is like using a candle to search for the sun. The candle has value in the darkness. But when the sun rises, its small flame is no longer needed. In the same way, thought has its place. But there comes a point where healing is no longer about understanding every detail of your story. It is about resting beyond the story. Tonight, sit quietly for 1 minute. Do not analyze your past. Do not improve your future. Do not ask what needs to change. Just exist. Breathe in. Breathe out. Allow yourself to be exactly as you are. At first, this may feel unfamiliar. The mind may resist. It may insist that you should be doing more, becoming more, fixing more. Let those thoughts pass. You do not need to solve yourself completely to deserve peace. You do not need to understand every wound before you are allowed to rest. You do not need to become perfect before you are worthy of stillness. Ask yourself, how much tiredness comes from constantly analyzing your life? What if the healing you seek is not hidden in another thought? What would happen if you simply stopped trying to repair yourself for one moment? This is where deep transformation begins, not in the endless effort to become someone better, but in the quiet realization that beneath all striving, you were never truly broken. The mind may continue to speak. Let it. You have discovered something greater than thought. A silent presence that asks for nothing, fixes nothing, and yet, in its stillness, heals everything. Quick summary. Thinking is not living. Most people do not experience life directly. They experience their thoughts about life. Constant mental narration separates humans from peace, presence, and emotional clarity. The mind turns every moment into analysis instead of experience. True living begins when awareness becomes stronger than commentary. Your mind was never designed to stay silent. Thoughts arise automatically from memory, fear, survival, and conditioning. The human mind naturally jumps from one thought to another without rest. Mental noise is not proof of failure. It is the normal state of an untamed mind. Peace begins when you stop expecting the mind to be silent forever. The voice in your head is a performer. The inner voice constantly creates fear, judgment, and imagined situations. Most people mistake this mental narration for their real identity, but the one observing the voice is deeper than the voice itself. Freedom starts the moment you stop believing every thought automatically. Overthinking is fear, pretending to protect you. Overthinking often hides itself as responsibility and intelligence. The mind believes constant worry can prevent pain or uncertainty, but endless thinking usually creates suffering instead of solutions. A peaceful mind learns when to think and when to let go. Fighting thoughts feeds them. The harder you resist thoughts, the stronger they become. Mental resistance secretly gives thoughts more energy and importance. Trying to force silence creates inner conflict and tiredness. Observation without attachment weakens thought naturally. 6. You became addicted to mental noise. Many people fear silence because silence reveals buried emotions. Constant thinking becomes a distraction from pain, loneliness, or emptiness. The mind keeps creating noise to avoid emotional discomfort. Healing begins when you become brave enough to sit with stillness. Awareness is the real you. Thoughts, emotions, and identities always change, but awareness remains. There is a silent observer behind every mental experience. This awareness is untouched by fear, anxiety, or overthinking. Inner peace grows when you identify with awareness instead of thought. Most thoughts are borrowed. Many beliefs come from society, childhood, fear, and conditioning. People often mistake inherited thinking for personal truth. Comparison and outside influence shape most mental patterns without awareness. Wisdom begins when you question where your thoughts come from. The ego survives through repetition. The mind constantly repeats painful stories to protect identity. People unconsciously rebuild suffering through memory and mental replay. The ego fears silence because silence weakens false identity. Freedom begins when old stories stop defining who you are. Peace exists before thought arrives. Peace is not created by thinking. It exists beneath thinking. The mind interrupts silence because it fears emptiness and uncertainty. Stillness is not weakness. It is freedom from inner conflict. The quieter the mind becomes, the clearer life feels. You are not your thoughts. Thoughts appear and disappear again and again, but awareness remains stable. If you can observe thoughts, then thoughts cannot be your true self. Suffering becomes weaker when thoughts lose authority over identity. This realization becomes the doorway to emotional and spiritual freedom. Bonus lesson: the mind cannot heal. The mind. Completely constant self-analysis can increase mental exhaustion. The mind is useful for survival, but not for complete inner liberation. Peace comes when you stop trying to endlessly fix yourself. Sometimes healing begins the moment you simply allow yourself to exist. The greatest illusion humanity has accepted is this, that every thought deserves to be believed. But Buddhism teaches something much deeper. Thoughts are temporary visitors. They rise, they speak, and they disappear. Yet behind all that noise, there is a silent awareness that has been watching your entire life, without fear, without chaos, without confusion. That awareness is your true nature. The moment you stop chasing every thought, fighting every fear, and identifying with every emotion, the mind slowly loses its power to imprison you. Zen philosophy reminds us that peace does not come when the mind becomes perfect. Peace comes when you stop demanding perfection from the mind. A calm lake reflects the moon clearly only when the water stops fighting itself. In the same way, your soul becomes clear when inner resistance fades. You do not find peace by controlling the storm. You find peace by realizing you are the sky, not the weather. If this message touched something deep inside you, take one quiet moment today to observe your thoughts instead of becoming them. And ask yourself honestly, who would you become if your mind no longer controlled your life? And if this video gave you clarity, don't forget to like this video, share your thoughts and experiences in the comments, and subscribe to Buddha's Eternal Wisdom for more powerful Buddhist insights on living a peaceful, awakened, and meaningful life.